In Colorado's 1st District, we got Neal Walia versus Diana DeGette. Neal Walia is a grassroots Democrat running for Congress in the 1st District. Colorado for America, for America. Now, Diana DeGette, she is well beloved. Here's Diana DeGette. She's in Colorado's 1st District. So Diana DeGette has been, a leading Democrat in Colorado for, I would say, 10 years or so? So Diana DeGette has a challenger, Neal Walia. Now, Neal Walia, that's Diana DeGette. Here's Neal Walia. I'm going to read. He got an endorsement rescinded. Was from the Working Families Party. Rescinding an endorsement is not something we do often or consider lightly, said Hatton Sen in a written statement. SEN. It's unfortunately become clear to us in the months since our early endorsements that Neal Walia is not committed to running a serious campaign. Running for Congress or any office should be taken seriously, and the lack of Walia's personal commitment to setting and meeting key campaign metrics, including fundraising and voter outreach, is inexcusable and unbefitting of office, she said. Additionally, fundraising. He's not raising enough cash. That's what the Working Families Party said. That doesn't sound like Working Families Family Party stuff. Okay, maybe something. Additionally, Neal Walia has rejected counsel on campaign best practices from known experts in their field and engaged in hostile behavior towards several WFP leaders and allies. For these reasons, the executive committee of co-WFP has voted to rescind his endorsement effective immediately. Hatton Sena, not Sena, S-E-N-A, added the group looks forward to focusing support for endorsed candidates such as Sol Sandoval, one of 3 Democrats running in the Western Slope-based 3rd Congressional District, including Conejos County. What's up? And Elizabeth Epps, one of 2 Democrats running in Denver's House District number 6. Now, Neal Walia, you got anything to say for yourself? Well, as the son of immigrants who migrated here from India, I was fed the narrative of pursuing the American dream after working hard, playing by the rules, going to college, and obtaining 2 master's degrees. My life feels more vulnerable than ever. I'm crushed by student loan debt. I cannot buy a home in the city that I love, and the cost of childcare is actively preventing me and my wife from starting a family. We need a just transition to green jobs and infrastructure built around decarbonization and economic democracy. Housing is a human right, and too many families face increasing burdens that do not allow us to thrive. Healthcare for the common good is something we can win through. Medicare for all. We need to address systemic problems at their root and promoting policies that create healthier environments for our communities. Beyond the 3 guiding pillars of the campaign, helping our small businesses will always be an area of policy that me, Neal Walia, am personally passionate about. Now, U.S. Representative Diana DeGette, the longest serving member of Colorado's congressional delegation, faces a primary challenge from fellow Denver Democrat Neal Walia. After the first-time candidate qualified for the June ballot by submitting enough valid petition signatures, state election officials announced Tuesday seeking her 14th term. Diana DeGette, don't regret not voting or voting for DeGette. One top line on the primary ballot last week at a party assembly in the overwhelmingly Democratic. I think you should vote for Neal Walia. You get entrenched there, even if she's wonderful and was excitingly progressive. Diana DeGette was the AOC of 10 years ago. But Diana DeGette, actually Colorado's economy is doing pretty good. But that's Jared Polis. That's the state officials. That's not Diana DeGette, is it? Diana DeGette. Seeking her 14th term, DeGette won top line in the primary ballot last week at a party assembly in the overwhelmingly Democratic 1st Congressional District, with mostly coincides with Denver's city limits. Oh, okay. This is Denver. That fucking cesspool. Why do y'all charge so goddamn much for your tolls? Why do y'all have so much homeless? Why is everything so fucking expensive in Denver and congested? Goddamn Denver. You need to take like 5 of the counties around you and spread out. Be an agrarian society. And, you know, if you're going to do skyscrapers and do them right, like what the... It takes 1,500 signatures from fellow party members for major party congressional candidates to make the ballot in Colorado. Of the 2,882 signatures Neal Walia's campaign turned in, the Colorado Secretary of State's office said that 1,744 of them were valid. So that's more than 1,000 of them were invalid, but more than 243 were valid. So, you know, over the threshold. More than 1,500. They only needed 1,500. They got 1,744. Easily surpassing the requirement. So now Diana DeGette's got a challenger named Neal Walia. Now, an attorney and former state lawmaker. This is Diana DeGette. DeGette, Neal Walia, Diana DeGette. DeGette, Neal Walia. Couldn't they rule together as king and queen of the 1st District? Can't we all just get along? But you know what? I feel Neal Walia, and it's like, what the fuck, Diana DeGette? Give you money so you can pass a bunch of bullshit laws that doesn't change shit? Nah, we've done that for 10 years. Let's try to get somebody in there that's going to change something. And maybe he's not the man of the hour. Maybe he is the man of the hour. Maybe he's not the man of the minute. Or of the year. He's not the man. He's the man of the minute, but not the year. She has faced primary challengers in each of the last 3 cycles. She defeated newcomer Chuck Norris in the 2016 primary with 87% of the vote. Wow. 2 years later, DeGette prevailed over attorney and children's book publisher Saira Sairao with 68% of the vote. In both elections, she went on to defeat Republican nominee Casper Stockham, including in 2018 by nearly 51 points, the widest margin ever recorded in the congressional district. Yeah. So Diana DeGette is pretty well beloved, but we should take nothing for granted. And, you know, because she's battle-tested, that's why she's, you know, still hungry or still always, you know, strives to. We are going to continue talking with voters about Diana's record of accomplishment. Jenny Peak Dunstone told Colorado Politics in an email, whether it's protecting a woman's right to choose, bringing important resources to the district to combat homelessness, or fighting for environmental justice for communities of color, Diana has been an effective advocate for the 1st Congressional District. Neal Walia, he said the signatures on those petitions came from East Colfax and the North Side, 5 Points, Glendale, so many other communities across the district who've been left out in past congressional runs, who do not see themselves as being represented. Neal Walia, coming out swinging, said in a statement, now we are on the ballot. We will continue our people-powered mission to make history this June when we elect the first person of color to represent our district in the halls of Congress, as well as the only federal representative in our entire state who's never accepted corporate PAC dollars. Is that the problem that they had? Hey, you're not taking corporate PAC money. I like that you don't take corporate PAC money. I also like that you're going to be the first person of color. This is supposed to be a super progressive district, but we've never had a person of color, not one time. Diana DeGette, she's seeking her 14th term, 28 years, reported just under 435,000 on hand, 14th term, 14 terms, 28 years. Is that 14? How come this is the first time I've read 435,000 on hand at end of the year. Fundraising reports for the first quarter of 2022 are due to the Federal Election Commission by midnight Friday since its launch in the state in 2017. Working Families Party has been steering the political conversation in Colorado to the left, including by helping elect numerous progressive candidates and by playing a key role in passing paid family leave and banning certain payday lending practices. Since Neal Walia is the newbie, he's got to win over the voters. He's got to win hearts and minds. He's got to get out there and get it. Diana DeGette probably could just coast and just reassure the voters she's doing a good job, continue to do a good job, use her entrenched establishment ties. Neal Walia, he says a lot of things. He wants to end the drug war. He wants to stop mass incarceration. He wants jail reform. He wants freedom from violence. Here's what Neal Walia says. He says, it's no secret that we live in violent times. Daily, it seems, news comes in of more gun violence, hate violence, sexual violence, traffic violence, state violence, and then the only solution that the Republicans and the law and order Democrats has been more violence, surveillance, police and prosecution, incarceration. We need a new approach based on thriving communities, connections across difference, freedom from poverty, and restorative justice. So he believes in restorative justice. He believes in fighting poverty. My God, how come this is like rare? A Democrat talking about stopping poverty? What is going on? Denver, my God. What else we have? True public safety. We need proactive approaches that prevent violence from happening, not just a system that determines who to punish and how once violence has already been committed. We must make bold investments to cure violence projects, trauma-informed mental health, strong community organizations to mediate conflicts, and provide restorative justice processes. Decarbonization. Decriminalize drugs, invest in harm reduction, provide all Americans robust, compassionate mental health and addiction treatment services. Retrofit our public buildings and housing stock, bring high-speed rail and better public transportation to the country, expand research and development in renewable technology and carbon capture, strengthen and expand our clean energy infrastructure and supply chains, cultivate regenerative and urban agriculture. A just transition, transforming our economy requires that we not only think big, but also stay true to the principle of social and environmental justice. This campaign believes in leaving no one behind. It is not enough to simply have more renewable energy sources. We have to make sure that our new economy does not operate like the one that we leave behind. Our vision for a just transition involves a federal job guarantee to create local economies of care and sustainability, canceling student debt, passing tuition, free public higher education, public works, ecological restoration, a national public arts initiative, early retirement buyouts for fossil fuel workers, training, education, and support for workers, paid family leave, economic democracy. Our Constitution is premised on valuing democracy and civic engagement, and yet our economy continues to favor the most powerful, leading to a drop in most communities' well-being and prosperity. A rigged economy has also compromised our political system, our cities, and our workplaces through the influence of private wealth. We can change this. As your congressman, we will democratize our economies to work for all of us by pushing for policies like campaign finance reform, public and postal bank and stronger labor unions, federal support for worker cooperatives and employee ownership, 21st century antitrust to protect small businesses and consumers, regulate Wall Street and prosecute corruption, billionaires tax, transform our energy system to 100% renewable energy and create 20 million jobs needed to solve the climate crisis. We could do this. We could bring PV manufacturing and clean energy jobs to communities and workers, including fossil fuel workers. I'm committed to the well-being for all, including those who brought us to where we are today, ensure justice for frontline communities, especially under-resourced groups, communities of color, Native Americans, people with disabilities, children, and the elderly. Save American families money with investment in weatherization, public transportation, modern infrastructure, and high-speed broadband internet. Commit to reducing emissions throughout the world and doing our fair share, providing $200 billion to the Green Climate Fund, rejoining the Paris Agreement, and reasserting the United States leadership in the global fight against climate change. Invest in conservation and public lands to heal our soils, forests, and prairie lands, and the greed of the fossil fuel industry and hold them accountable. Neal Walia supports a bill that codifies access to abortion as outlined in the Women's Health Protection Act. We must support any legislation that would, one, protect the right to access abortion free from medically unnecessary restrictions and bans on abortion, and two, create a statutory right for health care providers to provide abortion care and a corresponding right for their patients to receive that care. Neal Walia supports permanently repealing the Hyde Amendment. Abortion is health care and a human right. It must be accessible and affordable for everyone, independent of the color of your skin, your income, your zip code, or your documentation status. The Hyde Amendment prohibits federal funding for abortion, preventing people enrolled in Medicaid and other public programs from using their health insurance to cover abortion care. This disproportionately impacts people already facing systemic barriers to care, particularly Black, Indigenous, and other people of color. The Hyde Amendment must be permanently appealed as soon as possible. Neal Walia supports lifting bans or existing barriers in place that disallow abortion coverage and employee or insurance-related benefits packages. Abortion is health care and a human right. All insurance-related benefits must allow for abortion coverage. Having said that, I don't believe that health care in general should be attached to employment status, which is one of many reasons why I believe in Medicare for all. Neal Walia believes pregnant people who under the age of 18 years old should not be required to notify or receive consent from their parent or legal guardian prior to receiving an abortion, care, or contraception. Young people are most equipped to decide whom they involved in their care. Research shows that parental notification laws disproportionately impact young women of color and immigrant youth and often delay or prevent young people's access. People under the age of 18 should make their own decisions for their own bodies. Neal Walia does not support government funding for anti-abortion counseling centers, also known as fake clinics or crisis pregnancy centers, that inaccurately portray themselves as unbiased professional medical clinics. These institutions target vulnerable populations with the intention of dissuading people from accessing abortion. Universal health care is central in the fight. Contraception is health care. Women's Health Protection Act, Paycheck Fairness, Pregnant Women's Fairness Act, Living with Dignity. Our homes are interwoven into neighborhoods, cities, and workplaces that together play a role in shaping what our lives are really like. Too many families face increasing burdens and stressors that do not allow us to thrive. I believe housing issues must extend into living with dignity. That's why this campaign will fight to make the changes that will leave a lasting impact by lowering the age of retirement, increasing Social Security benefits, establishing a living wage, universal child care, expanding rights and support for the disabled, forming a congressional framework to end mass incarceration. The freedom to learn, universal pre-K. Families face huge lines, often charge unaffordable tuition for pre-K programs. We must invest in our children's earliest, fully fund K to 12. Every child has a right to a high-quality public school education. To make that goal a reality, we need to fully fund not just STEM, but also arts and emotional, social, and sexual education. We should have world-class, desegregated, depoliced public schools so families aren't pushed into charter schools, which all too often act as cash cows for hedge fund executives. Free college. We severely undermine our collective potential by making it difficult for working class students to obtain a higher education without incurring stifling debt. It is well past time we made public college tuition free and address comprehensive student loan forgiveness, starting with the Democratic Party's campaign promise of $10,000 per borrower. Yeah, how come we're not doing? Yeah, what the? Free college. Yes. Diana DeGette, member of the U.S. House representing Colorado's 1st Congressional District. She assumed office in 1997. Damn, 25 years ago? Her current term ends January 3rd, 2023. Diana DeGette Democratic Party is running for re-election to the U.S. House to represent Colorado's 1st congressional. She's on the ballot in the Democratic primary. She began her political career in the House of Representatives. She served that position from 92 to 96. She's first elected to she was in Colorado House and then elected to the U.S. House. And then that's it. She served as one of the chief deputy whips of the Democratic caucus for the 113th Congress. She served as vice chair of the Committee on Energy and Commerce from July 2007 until 2011. Based on analysis and multiple outside rankings, DeGette is an average Democratic member of Congress, meaning she will vote with the Democratic Party on the majority of bills. Diana DeGette, a former lawyer, state lawmaker. Diana DeGette seeking her 14th term. 14 terms. She sits on the House Natural Resources Committee and the Powerful Energy and Commerce Committee, where she chairs the Oversight Investigation Subcommittee. From this perch, she's held hearings on everything from the pandemic to insulin pricing, vaping, and ransomware attacks. She's also co-chair of the Congressional Pro-Choice Caucus. Of the 15 bills Diana DeGette has introduced thus far in Congress, many have focused on health and environmental issues. She was able to direct millions in appropriations dollars for projects for Denver this Congress. She's qualified for the battle at the District Assembly. So Neal Walia said his team had planned from the start to run a dynamic and innovative grassroots campaign that champions people, families, and their communities above all else. Neal Walia said the group's decision to yank its endorsement came as a surprise. We're surprised to hear that the Colorado Working Families Party decided to withdraw its endorsement of our campaign, especially on the heels of us qualifying for the ballot and becoming the only Democratic primary challenger to a congressional incumbent in our state. He said, we are disappointed that differences in strategy and fundraising have led to this decision. We do need a primary. I think this is good. This is healthy. And I'd like to see them debate. Have they debated yet? But remain aligned in our collective desire to improve the outcomes for the working families of Denver. Walia said, it came as no surprise that rejecting contributions from corporate interests would present a unique and daunting challenge in an attempt to oust DeGette, the longest-serving member of Colorado's congressional delegation. Walia, who announced his candidacy last summer, raised just over $100,000 in his initial quarter, but saw contributions drop to roughly $23,000 for the second 3-month period he was in the race, and finished 2021 with about $57,000 in the bank. Neal Walia describes himself as a grassroots progressive candidate, the son of immigrants from India. He said he's running to be a champion for our most vulnerable communities and that Denver needs a new generation of leadership. Neal Walia previously worked for the National Governors Association and Governor John Hickenlooper's Office of Community Partnerships. The issues he has highlighted on his campaign website are a green economy, including decarbonization and canceling student debt, housing, and healthcare, including Medicare for all. Neal Walia has qualified for the ballot through the petition process.